Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the new movie, Elemental. Elemental is directed by Peter Sohn, who is well versed in Disney and Pixar films. And I'm a big fan of those movies myself, so I wanted to check this one out. The synopsis is as follows. In a city where fire, water, land, and air residents live together, a fiery young woman and a go-with-the-flow guy discover something elemental. How much they actually have in common. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 things that make a movie great. 1. The plot. While this movie does center around Ember Lumen, most of the plot of this movie has to do with the fact that the fire people are migrants to this city that is structured and revolves around water, earth, and air type people. Ember's father started a fire-themed shop, and over the years an entire city of fire people was built around him, starting with that. Ember is in line to take over her father's shop when all of a sudden a pipe bursts in the basement and out flows Wade. Ember and Wade then have to work together to find where the source of this leak is coming from and work on overlooking their differences to do so. For me, the plot of this movie was weird because for the first 3/4 of the film, it seemed like a bunch of really fast plot points happening and problems solving themselves quicker than you thought they would. And then the last quarter of the movie was a bunch of character development jammed into a section after the original issue in the plot had already been solved. It was just a very weirdly structured and paced movie. But that being said, the subliminal messaging in this film is about as subtle as a bear attack. Really, the whole point and purpose of this movie is using the disconnect between these different elements to try to give the viewer an eye into what it feels to be a refugee or a migrant in the United States. That's ultimately what it boils down to. And I gotta say, with everything in place, they could have done it in a very natural way. But they didn't. It was super on the nose, and the different moments they used to promote this idea stood out like a sore thumb. You do get the warm fuzzies by the end of the movie, but it's an interesting journey on the way there. So with all that in mind, I have to give plot a 50-50. 2 is family friendliness. Elemental is rated PG, and for the most part, this movie is family friendly. I think there's a couple coarse jokes made here or there. There's a couple uncomfortable situations that involve friction between the different elements. And of course, Disney has to check a box, and how do they do that this time? Making one of Wade's younger sisters a lesbian.
Your story was completely wrong?
Sweet baby Jesus!
Do you see them together? Yes. Do they focus on it that much? No, there's probably 3 seconds of screen time. But it is in this film. My personal thought is they should leave that stuff out of kids' movies. But just be aware that that is in this movie if you go to see it. Other than that, this movie is family friendly. So use your discretion, but for me, family friendliness gets a thumbs up. 3 is acting and script. If you take a look at the voice actors and actresses behind these animations, honestly, I recognized maybe 1 or 2 of them. The rest were people I didn't recognize at all. There weren't any standout performances, but I thought they did a good job. And the script of this movie was pretty fun and clever. I found myself chuckling quite a bit in this movie. There were, of course, those kind of cringe moments that had to do with some of the on-the-nose subliminal messaging that this movie had to offer, but overall they did a decent job. So for me, acting and script get a thumbs up. 4 is character development. Ember is easily the most developed character in this movie, and her development is completed mostly through the character of Wade. The interactions that they have together throughout this film help her in this journey of self-discovery of what she really wants to do, who she really wants to become, and what her future looks like. You get some background with Wade's character, but not necessarily development. Like I mentioned, there is a quarter of the film that's kind of weirdly put at the end that is a bunch of character development all in one clump. And unfortunately, that does make some of the character development feel a little bit rushed. Another issue with that clump of character development was that the whole relationship between Wade and Ember didn't really feel natural. One could argue that that is the point, but I'm saying it didn't feel natural in the way it was presented. But they took a stab at it and they did a halfway decent job with development. So for me, character development gets a 50-50. 5 is visuals and CGI. Holy free holies, by far the most enjoyable part of this movie is the incredible animation. Not only are they extremely creative in the way that everything happens in this world, from the transportation to the way that people live, but the attention to detail in all of this is amazing. Every single scene brings something new and exciting and super fun to watch into your view, and there's a lot of really small and subtle details that make watching this movie super fun. I really appreciated it. It added a level of humor and fun to watching this film, and it easily was the best part. So for me, visuals and CGI get a huge thumbs up. And 6 is rewatchability. Elemental is an hour and 42 minutes long, and while this movie didn't necessarily feel that long, because of the 3/4 of really fast-paced plot and then a quarter of really mushed character development at the end of the movie, the pacing of it felt kind of strange. And the sad part is that in the midst of this weird frame, you had a few really on-the-nose direct moments of forced subliminal messaging in a movie that could have naturally gotten there without them forcing it down your throat. And unfortunately, that out-of-place feeling that you get while watching the movie affects its rewatchability. So for me, rewatchability gets a 50-50. With all these areas considered, I have to give Elemental a 6.5 out of 10. This movie had some pacing issues and a clunkily told story, with a bunch of plot at the beginning and a bunch of character development at the end, and some other unnecessary inclusions as well. But this movie was funny, it was clever, a lot of the script was witty, the voice actors did a good job, and the animation was absolutely incredible and a good time to watch. So with all that being said, if you're looking for a really good Disney Pixar movie to watch, this isn't it. But if you're wanting to just go to the theater and have a decent time and enjoy some awesome animation, as long as you can get past some of the subliminal messaging, Elemental might be worth a watch, but I don't know that it's worth going to see in theaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Elemental, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.